Typical things for the Sixers. Even in a win, they get the win, but they also lose one of their best players to an injury that we don't know much about, but it may not look all that great. We'll talk about it tonight as the Sixers pick up their second consecutive win the back-to-back. Cleveland on Friday, Chicago on Saturday, defeating the Bulls 109-97. This is the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Welcome to everybody hanging out with us. The show is brought to you by Bet365. Download Bet365 the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with the Sixers or Bet365 at Bet365.
No, it is not.
Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck, Devon Givens, Bree, all of you, we appreciate you hanging out with us once again on a late Saturday night, a frigid Saturday night as we are trying to warm up here in the studio.
It is a little chilly here in the studio tonight.
A little bit. So if you see me adjusting my Scully and the hoodie, you know, it's because it's a little chill in the building. But Kyle, good win, as we talked about in the pregame show of what they needed to do. We saw a lot of really good things once again that we will talk about with the player of the game. We'll discuss a few other things with the contributions from some of the role players here tonight. And you had to dig a little bit deeper into the bench, Nick Nurse did, because of second night of a back-to-back and also because of the injury to Paul George. So again, it's never ordinary with this basketball team, but they get the good and the bad in this one because they get the win, which they needed against a team that they should have won. Beating the Chicago Bulls tonight, but then the injury happens to Paul George.
So I was going to say, do we want to be positive P or pinky P to start the show? Which
that should have been a thumbnail, pinky P.
Pinky P. Which way do we want to go? I guess.
I mean, it is the big story.
Well, no, I'd say we should start with Tyrese Maxey, right? Because I think we, throughout the year, have ridden the roller coaster with him, right? There are nights, and you've been subjected to this more than Derek and I have, because when we're at the games, we get to, do it from afar and come in late after you and Rich have had, or you and Roy have had plenty of runway. But you are writing about it. So. We write about it, but you guys take a lot of flack for when you criticize him if he has a bad game, and he's deserved it at times. Mm-hmm. Tonight and last night, and frankly, a bunch of times over the last week and a half, couple weeks especially, he has put in some A1 games. And I think the thing that connected last night's game and tonight's game, both nights, he came out and it was, I'm the guy, right? Like, I don't care about getting, not that he doesn't care. I'm not worrying about getting other people involved. I'm not playing setup man. I'm not looking for Paul. I'm not looking for Yabu on the trail threes over and over again. I'm going out there. I'm hunting my shot, and I'm going to live with the consequences, right? And some of this I do think is being driven by there's a lot more effort being put into getting him catch and shoot looks and movement threes and other things where it doesn't have to all be pull up off the dribble threes, right? And there were tons of those in this game. He hit quite a few of those, but those start to come easier after you see a couple go down where you're not having to sidestep around somebody. You're not having to come downhill from half court on a high screen and step into a three. Getting those early rhythm shots, square on your shoulders and building that base. Yeah. You hit one of those and then you hit two of those. And then all of a sudden, like we know with Tyrese, we've seen it for years now. All he needs is a little bit of confidence. He's like the rest of the great offensive players in the league where you see one go down, that can turn into an avalanche. And I believe there was a stretch first quarter where he scored something like 13 straight points where it was 3 layup, where it was that one layup where he had one-handed it and all in one motion, the scoop, and made that beautiful shot. 3 the next time down. Had one bad moment where he threw the ball into Paul George's shin for a turnover, and then it was another 3, another layup, and it was just like they had absolutely no idea what to do with this guy. I think we're increasingly seeing the things we were begging for, right? The mid-range pull-up, not that it's become the central part of Tyrese Maxey's game, but it's an important part of the arsenal. You keep the defense honest because, frankly, if he gets somebody to hesitate from 12 to 15 feet, he has enough speed from 15 to the rim. He's going to blow by somebody and get a more favorable shot at the rim. Mm-hmm. So that shot helps set up a lot of different things for him at the basket where it doesn't have to be all speed all the time. It's mixing and matching. It's using the in-between. And frankly, the thing that I think I'm probably most encouraged by is the floor game, right? We're increasingly seeing him make the over-the-top skip pass. We're increasingly seeing him get as deep as he can into the teeth of the defense, into the paint, and then whip passes out to the perimeter, and it's starting those, the ping pong swing around the perimeter type of plays for this team that they were in short supply early this season. And so as you see the offense begin to actually look like an NBA offense, a lot of it is Tyrese's scoring and his shooting being very good right now, but it's everything else that is coming along with that, right? That's opening up the floor for him. It's opening up more opportunities for him. And it's allowing him to show some growth that I think, frankly, at times this season, I was giving up on him as a good enough playmaker, as that head of the snake lead guard type of guy. But now we're seeing, hey, maybe that is something that he still can aspire to. Maybe it does just require some time, some patience, and for the normal shots that he makes to go down. So really, really impressive last 2 nights from him. And, look, I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the season. We have another Paul George injury we're going to talk about. We have Joel, the human question mark, walking around still. But if nothing else, if this, the second half of the season features Tyrese maturing as a playmaker, maturing as a floor general, and a guy who can be the center of everything and navigating all that, that in itself would be a massive success for this franchise.
Yeah. Started the game off scoring 15 of the Sixers' first 26 points. Really came out aggressive. I think what Kyle said about getting a lot of off-ball looks was absolutely true. And that's one area of his game where he didn't really get a chance to showcase that all that much early on in the season. That's where you're really feeling the loss of Joel Embiid for most of the year, and the loss of Harden and another real playmaker, even a loss to a lesser degree of Jared McCain. So I think there's certainly future iterations of this club, whether it's centered around Embiid or not, where you can put Maxey into a role like this where he can get going and he can get hot. But even more to Kyle's point, it really is the playmaking over the last week or so, right? Because he's put up big numbers in the past, but it was mostly when Joel Embiid came back and he had that string
where
he had
the automatic elbow.
And if you go back at this point last year when Joel Embiid was out, and he was still scoring relatively efficiently, but his assist totals, we noted this a bunch of times, his assist totals basically fall in half on a per possession basis without Embiid on the floor. Well, lately you look at it, he had 10 assists the other night in Cleveland. Now they, have a high-paced game and a lot of scoring. 7 assists against the Cavs, 7 assists against the Bucks, and then now 9 assists here. And he's doing that with, Justin Edwards and a bunch of just guys. And it's not even the assist totals, but I think he's just making some passes that he wasn't even trying earlier on in the season. He's finding Bona with lobs. He's finding Bona with bounce passes and traffics. That might be a little bit of a KYP situation, but I appreciate him just having the court vision and the awareness to even try it. He's finding ways to bend the defense and put pressure on the defense that he, quite frankly, just wasn't earlier in the season.
Yeah, and the one thing that I wanted to point out, too, that you guys were talking about that, number one, as you mentioned, the 9 assists, but he played 43 minutes of the possible 48 tonight. So when you speak about everything that he did.
On a back-to-back. And quite frankly, I think the only reason he went to the bench with like a minute left in the first quarter and he immediately went to the locker room. And usually that means there's some bodily function you have to take care of. I'm not even sure if he would have sat during that period.
Drinking a lot of water. You gotta go do what you gotta do. But he played that many minutes and put up the 31-9 that he did tonight, 3 turnovers. And Kyle talked about the one that he threw at the shin of Paul George. He immediately came back. You mentioned the 3, but remember you also said, dag, another one right after that one, because he also made a questionable pass there. But they're asking a lot of him. So he's gonna do that. But he only did it 3 times tonight in the 43 minutes that he had the ball in his hands, quite a bit on the offensive end for Nick Nurse's team. So for him to do all of that, play the way that he did after playing last night, dropping the 29 and 10 that he did against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that was a high-level game that he had to play last night in order for them to lock in that win. We were questioning him because of this. We've seen this before. So when we were talking about it, we were talking about it in the sense of, where is it? Why is it not showing up consistently? Not to the tune of 30-9 or 29-10. It's just more of hitting your average of the 26, but making some good decisions, knocking down a good percentage from behind the 3-point lines, and taking advantage of what's given to you. If that intermediate is there, take it. If they push up on you, drive by them. There were plenty of possessions last night. We had Jared Allen on him. Rich is screaming, go to the basket. Bree is screaming, you got George Niang, run right by him. Kyle tonight is like, hey, he's got not Zach LaVine, Nick Vucevic on him. Why are you passing the ball?
That bozo.
Exactly. He's being asked to do a lot. And over these 2.5 weeks, really, he has really shown himself to be that all-star level player that we were complaining about at the time, which is constructive criticism because we know how good the player is. Mm-hmm. You can still question if he's a 1 or a 1A or a 2 on a championship contender, but what they need from him right now, this is it. Now, it's unfortunate because we saw what we saw with Paul George last night. Part of our pregame was, can these two do this going forward consistently? 15 in the first for Maxey, 9 early on for Tyrese, in the half, and 9 for Paul George. That was pretty darn good to start things off. And then Paul gets injured. So you had Kelly Oubre had to step up. We'll talk about him a little bit later. You had others doing things as Derek is talking about, having Eric Gordon make shots and Justin Edwards do things. And then this, as you talk about the growth of his offense, yes, it is a lob, I know, but
Devon Gibbons moment of the night.
In the moment, we were all like, yeah, see?
Love that.
Yeah, because it was also the one where Kelly Oubre had a 3-on-1 break in the middle of the floor. Perfect balance of a fast break. Yes. 3-man break against 1. He had 3 and 1 trailing. He decided he's too young. I'm the veteran. I'm going to the basket. Instead, he should have tossed it up to either Ricky on the left for a lob or even a better opportunity for a lob to Bona streaking along the baseline to finish where you didn't have to ask him to do a lot of work as far as ball handling. Snatch it out the air, yam it home, right? That's it. But Tyrese Maxey, the growth as a playmaker, the unselfishness in that play, that's the type of stuff that we like to see from him. And that's why we were constructive criticism there early on with him, because we know how good of a player he is. And he even said it on the broadcast, when you let some of these close games slip out of your hands, they're going to bite you.
Yeah.
They've dug a deep hole. They've had 4 to 5 of those games where it bit them. And tonight was one of those that they won. They came out on top in one of those. Last night against Cleveland, same thing. That's why we were talking the way we were talking and evaluating his game in those moments, because he had some missed turnovers. He had a lot of missed shots. He was complaining to the ref in those losses. These are the types of games and plays that we expect of him to give them a chance to win the games when we know that they're shorthanded the way that they are.
And look, we were talking midweek about, is Nick Nurse on the hot seat? Is this a team that's ready to give up on this guy? And the guys that you look to in those moments are your stars, your leaders, the guys who, when they do something, when they say something, everybody else follows, right? Mm-hmm. And what Tyrese has done in the last 2 games is not just the offensive stuff, although that's the big headline. It's running back in transition. We talked about it all throughout the game, Devon. Him going up aggressively to team rebound with 2 hands. Yeah. And he's talked about that a lot, right? Like, they've had transition issues on defense. They've had rebounding problems in general. And they want to play faster. Well, he's said that he's talked with Nurse, and part of that is like, if we want to play faster, I have to go get the ball, and I have to be responsible for that. I can't rely on Yabu or Kelly did a great job rebounding yet again, but I'm not going to rely on other people. I have to seek the ball. That I have to be part of the solution. And so when you talk about like team culture, right, and team character and all that, I was looking at this weekend as, what are these guys going to do? Are they going to just get blitzed by Cleveland? And then on the second half of back-to-back, maybe you see guys sit and, they're just tired and they don't have this. And instead, Tyrese Maxey has a pair of amazing games this weekend. I think you saw contributions from guys all over the roster, and they responded to the challenge. So now the question becomes, what's the extent of Paul's injury that we're going to talk about in a second? Is Joel Embiid going to get back on the floor this week? Like, what's his state of his health? Because these other guys who have been left to clean up the mess and try to hold down the fort, they're doing what they can, right? I think that's safe to say right now. So now it becomes, what happens with the rest of them, or the main 2 guys, but also some of the other injured guys that they're waiting on. And that's the big looming question of the season.
Tyrese over the last 20 games, 28.7 points, 6.9 assists, 45% from the field, and 37% on 10.1 3-point attempts per game.
And that's a lot of threes.
It's a lot of threes.
So right before you started, I was about to say he took 13 threes tonight. He took a decent amount last night again, and he had 5 tonight. So, I mean, the guy has been fantastic. So even though the percentage, you look at it and it's below 50%, but I mean, it's like basically, right there. It's all good. He's shooting 40% on his threes in the game. And he had some big shots, man. He hit some really big threes for them tonight to give them the lead, to have that stretch where he was on his own personal run early on in that game. And the fact that they were able to close the game on like a 27-14 run. And he was the orchestrator of a lot of that. He hit a 3. Came back down. Also, Kelly Oubre hit a big 3 where Maxey was running right by, but he didn't like scream out and try to startle him to throw him off his shooting mechanics to get that one to drop in after, I believe it was Yabusele that passed it to Kelly Oubre. Maxey has been fantastic. And we know a lot of people, like I already saw it, the reserves for the All-Stars are going to be talked about next week. Going to drop next Thursday, and people are going to say, look, Maxey's in the conversation. It just may be too late, and their record is just not good enough. And that's
the record's the tough thing.
Yeah.
With the coaches especially, they are always I shouldn't say overcorrect, but they always tend to reward the guys who are on the best teams.
When we were talking about the constructive criticism of Maxey, if he was still doing it like this, he would probably be like, they would probably say, all right, he was still doing that.
Yeah.
And trying to keep them in it while understanding that George and Embiid were out for a lot, and others, Caleb Martin, et cetera, out for so many games. So, but we'll get to that at another time. But yeah, he's just been fantastic. And 43 minutes tonight, man.
I really thought, because like you mentioned,
minutes.
he'd only sat for 53 seconds or whatever in the first 3 quarters. I thought Nick was going to run him a full 47. It's like, man, you're going to run him into the
First
ground.
quarter, he played 11:08. Second quarter, he played all 12. Third quarter,
he played all 12.
Third quarter, he played all 12.
Yeah.
And in the fourth quarter, he played.
I'm telling you, man. First
Iron Man performance out there. Tom Thibodeau is looking up from his New York City condo saying, boy, I'm inspired right now.
He played 7:56 in the fourth quarter. And 3 for 5, 1 for 2 with the on threes with the 2 boards, 1 assist, 7 points. And that one of those boards was certainly the one that Kyle was really talking about, securing the board in traffic with 2 hands and leaving no doubt while grabbing that.
And he loves that leave no doubt as he wears he's got a bunch of wristbands. He has an LND that's one of his things that he holds on to every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, 12 for 23, 5 for 13, 31 points, 9 assists, 5 boards, and 3 turnovers. He had 2 steals in the first half as well. Ended up with 2 steals at the end. Tyrese Maxey was fantastic. So yes, as Tyrese Maxey is telling you on our screen, hit the like button. Hit the like button as we get those likes up. We know a lot of our family in the chat likes to let everybody know, hey, hit that like button. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to just tap that like button no matter what you're doing. So go ahead, as Tyrese is asking you, hit that like button there to support the show for us on this Saturday night as we hang out with you following a big Sixers win, 109-97. They are now on the season after tonight's win, 17-27. Back to 10 games under 500, man. Back to 10 games under 500. Same number in the loss column.
I was optimistic until you had to go to the record.
My bad. But they are still just a game back now of the Chicago Bulls.
And tied in the loss column,
in the loss column. And they've won both games against the Bulls so far this season. So that's where we are. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about positives, negatives. We'll see. On the other side, we got to talk about Pinky P. And as somebody said in there, Pinky less P, even though he didn't lose his finger. It's just, it didn't look good. With the way it bent,
it looked like it could have.
That was not pretty.
And he did come back to the bench with the hand wrapped up. But Pinky P, we'll talk about him on the other side as the Sixers win 2 in a row now, 109-97 on the road over the Chicago Bulls. They get the dub, and we're talking about it right here on this Saturday night on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365.
Also presented by a new friend, but an old friend. That's right, our good people at Mint Mobile. 2025 is here. And
welcome
Mint
back, Ryan.
Mobile. Shout out to Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is a forever friend.
Our friend of the program
until
the program no longer exists.
He was filming a movie.
Mint Mobile has a resolution for you. Skip the gym. We know Ryan Reynolds doesn't do that with that Deadpool diet. Skip the fad diets. Skip the BS resolutions that you'll forget about by next month. I'm a little offended by that. I have some resolutions I'm hoping to stick to.
I also don't think I can skip the gym. That's
make a resolution to save serious cash by making the switch to Mint Mobile. And right now, you can get half off their 3-month unlimited plan. Time to leave your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, unexpected overages, and all their BS in 2024. Mint Mobile is dropping huge savings for the new year by offering any 3-month plan for only $15 a month, even their unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your current phone and your number. I know because I did it myself, and it was an easy setup process. I still use what I call the bat phone today. Derek sees it. It's not in the best condition, the phone, but I didn't get that from Mint. That was a cast off. Thank you to Vince for that one. You can get a brand new phone. You can use your pre-existing phone, whatever you want to do to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/Sixers. That's mintmobile.com/Sixers. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Sixers. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
And
haven't done that one in a while.
And the Sixers, in their first, look, they're 10 games under 500, so we know they made you pull your hair out quite a bit. But if you want to get that hair back, put the phone up to you looking pretty cool in the spring that you get from Ryan and Kyle, well, you got to go to Glatt Hair Restoration, teaming up with Dr. Morgenstern, nationally recognized specialist, and among a few surgeons in the country who was trained in plastic surgery, facial cosmetic surgery, general trauma surgery, so much more. Here's what you get from the teaming up. The partnership from Morgenstern and Glatt Hair Restoration is under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon, as I mentioned, Dr. Ken Morgenstern. But the same peerless approach is there, same care. Overall, the same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, and the same state-of-the-art location for you to feel very comfortable along with the same stellar results. What do you get? Well, anyone can buy equipment and say they do hair restoration. Well, only Glatt Hair offers decades of proven results using an innovative approach and delivered by leaders in the industry. Laser light therapy, that's what they give you. Non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, PRP, stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment overall. Caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They've got you covered. Bald is now optional, but if you want to look right in the spring as we get there and then follow it into the summer with that cool phone while you're walking around looking great, this is the place for you. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365.
One last Maxey thing, because I think we're moving on from the Maxey portion of the program for right now. He was asked about the exchange with a fan tonight that I believe, at least according to the broadcast, that fan got escorted out afterward. Tyrese's quote was, "I didn't like his word choice." So it's a very diplomatic way of handling it, not getting into the specifics. I said in the chat, because other people were asking about this, Tyrese is not someone who is easily bothered, right? No. So I would imagine that a line was crossed. Yeah. And I trust Tyrese that if he didn't like the word choice, I think it was probably over the line. So I give him complete benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yep. Well, I'm sure there was some word choice by a lot of Sixer fans when they found out that Paul George was going to be out for the remainder of the game with a pinky injury. Kyle, he finished the game. Or as
the Sixers framed it, a left fifth finger injury.
They were all sitting there counting.
I was like,
well, going left
does
to
that
right?
mean does that mean the thumb is the first finger? I guess that makes sense because it's what separates us from apes and whatnot. But
by the way, Tyrese Maxey, last thing, 10 plus consecutive games with 25 points.
Look at that.
For the season, 4th longest streak in the NBA this campaign. So Paul George, though, 9 points, all in the first half, 12 minutes that he played, and a busted up finger.
Yeah, unfortunately, looked pretty good before he left the game. And honestly, it was such a subtle thing in the moment that we didn't necessarily pick up on it in the first half. But then it was immediately like, oh, he doesn't come out of the tunnel. So Derek and I were sitting on my laptop like, was it here? Did he do it here? And then there was a video that circulated showing the pinky bending in the wrong way. And it just was like, we spent a lot of the third quarter sitting there amongst ourselves being like,
rewind,
doing that, but also saying like, is this team for real, man? Like, did they build the practice facility on an ancient burial ground that they're just haunted by ghosts and they're cursed, or somebody's got a voodoo doll with a Sixers logo on it that just shoving pins in it over and over again? Because, and look, I get Paul George has dealt with injuries throughout his career. It's why a lot of people were skeptical. You worry more about like the lower body, like feet, ankles, knees. He's had shoulder, like torn labrum, things like that in the past. Just like getting your pinky caught on a rebound is one of those I'd put that in the Joel Embiid like WTF category of injury. Like, oh, you broke your face for the fourth time. Oh, your pinky got caught on a rebound, and now we don't know what's going to happen. We did hear from Nick Nurse in Chicago, who said that he was scheduled for an MRI tomorrow. So that indicates to me that it's not broken, but so now they have to rule out any kind of ligament damage or tears and whatnot. And so we're all going to have to sit here and wait. I guess the only good news, if there is any here, is that it's the pinky and his non-shooting hand. So as far as fingers go, it's what we would probably all say is the least consequential finger. Easy to say when I don't have to use it to play basketball for a living, but better than, if he had a thumb on a shooting hand. We've seen with George Hill how that can go.
Yeah, no, I think it being non-shooting is pretty important. Then again, you need the pinky to be able to handle the ball, and you can't make him a right-hand dominant player. But yeah, it would be great if one of these could go the Sixers' way and not be catastrophic. I fully expect that finger to have fallen off by the time he gets that MRI tomorrow, though. It's just the way the season's going.
When you go in the air, it swells up, all that stuff doesn't look good. I mean, when you look at a pinky like that, just simply as we look at on the screen of. For anyone who did not see it.
Shield your eyes if you don't want to see it.
Yeah, for anyone who did not see it, Bree has it up on the screen, just the video there. And it doesn't look good when you bend the finger like that.
We just heard an audible from Bree in the background.
That is not cool. I mean,
is that your professional medical opinion, Bree?
and those are always it's that one. It's the the basketball jamming your finger, the thumb, or something like that, or your fingernail getting pulled back because of a play, like the basketball coming at you. Those are always the things that why doesn't this happen more? Because of how many times you touch a basketball, running at a basketball where somebody else tips it and it goes into your hand. With that, though, that one looked like probably have to miss just a couple of games because of the fact. And again, I'm just speculating on, hey, he has to handle the basketball with the left hand.
Right, he's got to go out and create. He's not just a standstill guy.
When he shoots, it still has to be a guide hand and feel okay. When he rebounds, he two-hand rebounds quite a bit with that. And when he defends, he uses both hands. Mm-hmm. So that is going to be something that's problematic, and any slight touch is probably going to really be uncomfortable for him. That's just me talking. Again, the MRI is going to tell the story. But it's the Paul George freshman season with the 76ers that continues to have things happen for him.
We were already expecting a Joel Embiid update this weekend. Today being Saturday means that it's probably coming tomorrow. Now we get to wait for 2
It's going to come in the middle of the Eagles game, and you know it as well as I do. Yeah. They will drop it at they won't even do it at halftime. It'll be like start the opening kickoff. We will get the text about Joel.
We'll tweet it all out. We'll get no traction at all because nobody gives a darn, which is exactly why you do it at that time.
Exactly why you do it. But yeah, it's just another tough blow for the 76ers to have that happen tonight. They were able to get by tonight and picking up the win. Tyrese Maxey was fantastic. We'll talk more about some of the others that helped out in this game. But yeah, just another bad blow for the 76ers with this injury.
It's just they can't preserve any sort of good vibe or positivity, right? Like last night was probably, I mean, even people who want to throw in the towel and tank would look at last night's game and say, that was an awesome game. Like, really fun to watch. Maxey was great. Paul George was great. Role player stepping up. Like, Justin Edwards is a nice rookie story. You have all these things. Yabu has been this great story all season, and as part of that win, you come into tonight, Maxey gets off to a great start. Paul George is playing well, not having a dominant game like he did yesterday, but he was playing well, like as you said earlier, part of that 1-2 punch with Maxey. And then it's just like they come out after halftime and you're like, hold on a second.
Justin Edwards.
Why is Justin Edwards in the game? And who's not on the floor? It's like, okay, I see Maxey, I see Eric, I see Kelly Oubre, and I see Yabu.
Yep.
Process of elimination says it's PG8 who's not on the floor, and then you're sending texts, and it's just one thing after another, and it hurts those things that we talk about mattering, right? The continuity, the synergy, the ability to work through the 2-man stuff with just Tyrese and Paul, and then later the 3-man stuff with Joel, assuming he's back on the floor at some point. It's just everything just keeps getting set back, and it's like, bro, it's almost February.
Yeah.
This just can't keep happening.
You've got to come away from this season with something. That something might end up being a unexpected top 4 pick. That something might be sneaking in as a 10 seed in the playoffs or the play-in, or that something might be chemistry and a little bit of time spent together, so next year you can hit the ground running when the season starts. It can't be none of those 3.
Yeah.
And it just feels like with the way the season is going, I understand if you're sitting there and not questioning how anyone can be optimistic, because everything goes wrong. Everything.
Bree, find the Denzel Jamie Foxx part.
Leaving here with something.
I'm leaving here with something. You don't have to really find it. I just wanted to bring that one up.
Even if it's just a picture of Denzel's face from that interview, everybody knows. You can just hear it in your head.
Yeah, I'm leaving here with something tonight and as far as the Sixers go. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just frustrating when you see a big part of our pregame show was just talking about the 1-2 punch. They had a 30-29 last night. Between the two of those guys, and it started off well, and unfortunately it ended the way that it did with him being out and the unknown 6-game homestand coming up. And that would have been, as you talked about, the camaraderie and the chemistry out there on the floor. That would have been a really good time for them to feel comfortable at home with one another, how they play off of each other, and get some things going, feel comfortable playing next to one another. And we'll find out. Again, I speculated enough during the Eagles game, as you said. We'll find that out as it goes along. But also, you just got to bring up some of the guys who really stepped up in his absence. Was Kelly Oubre finished with another double-double of 22 and 12. Some questionable things out there on the floor, but his defense, again, is still good. He had a steal out there. It looked like he got his hands on a lot of basketballs to disrupt some things, even some tipped away rebounds, but he still finished with 12, had 13 rebounds last night, 9 for 18, so 50% from the floor and 2 for 5 from 3, played 36 minutes and 42. And a lot of times we talk about him getting in foul trouble where he fouled out the other night. And tonight he only had 2. And there was a lot going on out there with Zach LaVine.
He saved them for Bona. He said, you can have a few of these, buddy.
Because Bona's been pretty good, so he let him have them tonight. But just another really good game for Kelly Oubre.
Listen, I mean, so Devon, while you were on your 3-month vacation at the start of the company, Derek and I held the flag for like, I don't trust Kelly Oubre at all, right? And there's still part of me that says, I know this guy's track record for his career, and there were moments in that first half. That 4-on-1 fast break where he didn't pass the ball,
and then I was
going to rip my hair out.
He followed up the next time, and there was a clear lob to Bona there as well. Now, Kelly made the layup attempt, but like there was a very clear, if he had his head up while dribbling, there was an easy 2 points.
But I will say, like, I think mostly I've done a 180 on him because I've brought up the idea of like the vets quitting who are here that are like, this isn't what I signed up for, right? Just getting into that mentality, like, get me out of here, and going through the motions, knowing that somebody else will come and trade for them and save them, whatever. But I think Kelly, through all the nonsense, through all the injuries, through all the changes to the rotation, has just done such a great job of like, what's the challenge tonight and what do I need to do to help this team win, right? Double-digit rebounds yet again, where that's been a theme of this year for him, honestly. Like, I think he's right around his career high for rebounds, but honestly, it feels like he is going to end up having his best ever season as a rebounder, where the attention is just there all the time. He has come to an understanding like, look, we have to play small ball all the time, right? We don't have Drummond. We don't have Joel. Adem is only going to really be able to play about 15 minutes. And so it's Yabu for most of the time. And he has attacked the glass hard. He's taken the defensive assignments as seriously as he can. And he normally, a lot of times, is on the other team's best player for long stretches of the game. And then tonight, like that start of the fourth quarter where Tyrese finally did get his break, right? It's like, that's gut check time for everybody else. Like, what do you do with Maxey on the bench? And he took control of that offense, not only got his own shots and scored his own points, he had the big drop off to Yabusele off that ball screen coming downhill and made all the right decisions. So huge reason they were able to win this game tonight. And I have a lot of respect for the approach that he's taken this year, because the book on him has always been, well, he's a guy that if you give him a lot of rope, he is going to take it, right? He'll take a ton of shots. He'll take bad shots a lot of the time, and he'll hijack the offense. And you still live with a bit of that. But I'm so much more willing to deal with the ups and downs because he's rebounding, because he's defending, because he's committed himself to doing the little things to help this team. So another really good game for him tonight.
He really does. He has some aspects of his game that just drive me completely up a wall. And the passing or lack of passing and just not having your head up a lot of times when you have the ball, but being a black hole. And the non-shooting, like non-shooters really impact your offense in big, significant ways and make it tough. And those two things are usually complete non-starters for me. But he is such a good defender and so locked in and really consistently locked in. Yeah. He's giving great effort on the glass. And those are things I absolutely love, especially in a role players. It really is one of those where if he could just fix his deficiencies or at least make meaningful progress towards them, he would be a very, very good role player. At this point, with what the Sixers have, he is pretty far down on my list of things that drive me nuts. Now, that's in part because almost everything around him has gone to haywire this season, but it's also because he has made very significant and substantial improvement in the consistency of his effort and his being locked in. And I think that has been, like Kyle said, this is a season that has gone off the rails in so many different ways. It's very easy for, players, veterans, especially one like Kelly hasn't a player option, but he at least has money coming to him next season. You can check out from that, and he hasn't. And his effort over the last 2 days, especially since that Denver game, which really could have been an inflection point of the season. I think a lot of us were maybe expecting it to be. They have bounced back with great effort the past 2 nights, and he has been front and center on all of it.
In that fourth quarter, he had 9 points and played all 12 minutes. He was 4 for 6. The only flaw there was he missed 3 free throws in the fourth quarter.
And that has driven me crazy this year. He's missed a few too many free throws for an offense first guy,
but he's been really, really good. He's been really, really good for it. Played 40 games too. So when you talk about his rebounding, he's at 6 on his average of 6 this season, which is tied for the 1 year with the Golden State Warriors, where he played 55 games, averaged 6 boards. And in 2019-20, he averaged 6.4 with the Suns in his final year with the Phoenix Suns there. So he's doing it again. And he's back-to-back double-digit rebounding nights of 13 on Friday, 12 tonight. He has been really, really good. And he's been available. When everybody else has been out.
That is nothing to sneeze at this year, man. Because I mean, even last year he was out for a good bit of time, right?
Yeah,
where he had the whole the bike incident.
Needed a limo driver, man. Couple of times.
This franchise, man. I'm just thinking that I have to say the bike incident for Kelly Oubre.
In all honesty, in like the time we've been covering the team, that doesn't even crack the list of strange
that's
stuff.
Not even like top 10, I don't think.
All right, we got to get to the player of the game on the other side, talk about a few key contributors from this game. And we have a strong and wrong candidate that we're going to do a little bit later. We'll check into all of it when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Yes, and Bet365. Well, I let you guys down. I'm sorry. It's my bad. Kelly was fine. He cleared that 6.5 boards very easily with the 12 boards that he secured tonight. But it was the Zach LaVine 2.5 threes.
That's what we get for saying nice things about him on the pregame show.
Yeah, so Zach LaVine, terrible, man, terrible. And so he ruined our parlay there. We had a pretty good parlay run going on there. But I wish I could have connected with everybody because I did look at the Josh Hart. I occasionally check out the Knicks scores while the Sixers are playing for some reasons. And as I do, I'm like, Josh Hart's already at 6 and 5 in the first half. Let me go ahead and look at this for a 10, 10, and 10. And that's exactly what I did at Bet365 because of the live streams. You have live in-game betting that's pioneered from Bet365. And when you do that, of course, you get it done very quickly so you can get some really good odds on it. And the early payout, once he does hit all three, the 10, 10, and 10 for Josh Hart in that win, early payout is available to you right away on Bet365. The early payout offer is available as well when your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets, parlay selections marked as winners as well. All you have to do is download the app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, and you get it done right there. Sunday, 2 big games to figure out what the championship is going to look like.
There's only one big game we care about around here, brother.
Exactly. And with it, all you have to do is place a qualifying parlay bet totaling $20 or more on Sunday's one game that we care about and get up to 25 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. And also, if your team goes up by 17 points, you're an early winner for a payout offer as well. Breaking news from Bet365. Yes, Kyle, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. When you deposit $10, place a $5 bet to get the $150 in bonus bets if your bets win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. So if you want to put your team in the big game, that's a future bet. Get after it right now. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Oh, man, must be 21 plus. And physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Again, he said breaking news. I'm like, did Devon get a text about the Paul George finger?
Yes,
you never know. We also want to tell you about Golden Nugget. I don't know if you've heard, Eagles have a pretty big game tomorrow. While the Eagles are hunting down that ring, you can too at Golden Nugget Jewelers. Golden Nugget Jewelers is located at Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly and is a family-owned and operated business since 1987. If you're getting engaged, Golden Nugget Jewelers has a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. On top of that, you receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. But Golden Nugget is not just wedding jewelry. You can find watches, diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head over to goldennuggetjewelers.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. If you want to get it right again, your team plays tomorrow. The Birds play tomorrow. Go ahead and get yourself situated for all those anytime touchdown score from Saquon Barkley, bust off a 20-yard run, Jalen Hurts with a quarterback sneak, whatever you got. A.J. Brown ticked off, again, especially going against Marshawn Lattimore. You know he's going to want to show out. 5+ receptions, whatever you want to do, all at Bet365.
Can I quick Eagles tangent before we get to player of the game?
Please
Is that
do.
allowed?
Yeah.
Did you guys see? I know you did. This is a rhetorical question. Did you guys see that the Commanders fans' idea of a takeover of Philadelphia was going to the Hard Rock Cafe? That'd be like a group of Eagles. Let's just reverse the roles. The Commanders are hosting the NFC Championship game. Big group of Philly fans says, we're taking over DC. And you go to like Applebee's and you're like, we're taking your city over, baby. DC, we own you. It's like, that's the stupidest thing. And that's like no disrespect to either the Hard Rock or Applebee's, both of which are completely fine establishments.
Sponsor us.
It's more the idea. It's like, the only thing that is Philadelphia about the Hard Rock is that it's physically located in Philadelphia. In fact, the whole appeal of it is that it's next to a train station so that people who are commuting into town are like, well, I don't have to explore the city. I can just go to a brand that I know. That's one of the most embarrassing takeover attempts in the history of mankind. You should be ashamed, all those people who tried to post about it, post pictures, videos, and act like that you were doing anything at all with that move.
Our buddy VG on the Anthony Gargano show said, okay, cool. Good job by taking over the Hard Rock Cafe on Twitter.
Like what?
Pointing it out. It would have got a nice bump. Maybe
if you go to McGillen's, you show up squad deep at McGillen's, you're at like 30 francs. You're going like, name any bar in the city that's actually a Philadelphia place and not a chain. Okay, you go up to Reading Terminal and like, hey, we're strong arming people out of boots. Okay. Get these bozos out of the city. I hope they lose by 55 points tomorrow.
And tell them to go drink their sorrows away at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Come on, man.
On Market Street.
Come on.
Great job, guys.
Anyway, sorry.
I also saw, you know how we talk about Philly sports trips, you know, a lot occasionally on the network in general. And one of their trips that they put together out there in D.C., they had them leaving at 10 a.m. from D.C. to get here to the link to set up for their tailgate out in the parking lot.
Careful, they might organize something at a Starbucks. And
okay,
really
guys,
up.
They might organize somewhere that they might actually be on time next time.
You think you're gonna get into one of those parking lots and get into an area to set up your tailgate at 10 a.m.? They're leaving at 10, not arriving at 10.
You'd be lucky if you're there by halftime.
To set up. Okay, good job, guys. Good takeover. Good job. Let's go to the player of the game, Bree, and let everybody know. This guy's been on a roll,
Not Commanders fan,
Not
notably,
Commanders
although
fan.
you don't want to know who he roots for.
Yeah. Well, he's
At least he has a
Texas
geographical
boy, you know,
tie.
yeah.
he's gotten himself.
He's
into the
allowed.
mix.
He's allowed.
I've seen him plenty of times there, just as you guys have. Tyrese Maxey, the player of the game, 5 for 13, as we mentioned, 9 assists. Great floor game overall from the all-star point guard for the 76ers. He is our Saturday night player of the game that is brought to you by no one.
And maybe the Hard Rock Cafe.
And maybe or Applebee's.
Since I'm like I'm like not mocking them, but it's like sponsored by the Hard Rock Cafe tonight.
Have fun.
In my brain, anyway.
Have fun, folks.
Not financially.
Have fun. There's nothing going on Market Street anyway, so go forward. All right, Derek, there are a couple other guys. Again, just Eric Gordon played well once again for the second consecutive, not just the second consecutive night, but he's been shooting the ball pretty well. 4 for 9 from the field, 3 for 8 from three. He had another 35-footer that we were like, yeah, that's Eric Gordon range, and a big shot in the second half, in the fourth quarter in particular, for his 13 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. He had a block in this game,
had a couple
too.
really big steals, too.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought those were maybe the most impressive
did.
because you don't really see him make that play all the time. But
one in the open floor and another where Zach LaVine looked like he had a short layup. I think the other one in the open floor was against Patrick Williams. So Eric Gordon, he's in the starting lineup now, like you guys talked about a lot at the beginning of the season. He had to get his wisdom
in a much
teeth.
different universe in a much different time.
He had to get his wisdom teeth pulled and miss some time. Kyle made fun
on the
of
Oregon
him.
Trail, on his way back.
But Derek, he has found his
He
way
had to
back.
hunt for oxen on the Oregon Trail after the surgery too.
He has found his way back.
he has. And the shooting is important, and it's a big part of what he provides. But I really was impressed with the defense.
Yeah,
it's just not something you've necessarily come to expect from Eric at this stage of his career. But he had good timing. He was in the right spot. And he was able to make some pretty important plays there. So, yeah, the combination of the shooting, the defense, he's just giving you a little bit of that stabilizing presence, that floor spacing. Because some of these threes are like bombs. Like we're talking 30-plus feet bombs that Ricky, joked earlier, is looking on the bench thinking, I can do that. But Eric actually can. And because of that, defenses, you really stretch the defense out to go out there and contest that and open things up. He has been, I think, over the last 2 weeks or so, I think more of the Eric Gordon that we expected than whatever it was we saw to start the season. It might be too little, too late. We'll see. Although with that win today, like we mentioned, they're tied in the loss column with the Chicago Bulls, and I'm sure that the Sixers will pursue that if they can get Joel Embiid back on the court with any kind of regularity. But yeah, it is nice to see him at least look like a facsimile of the player that we expected. Because the start of the season was tough.
Real fast. His 3 makes, 26, 26, and 27. His misses, I saw a couple of 28s in there. So Eric Gordon range, of course.
And look, I think another thing that as he started hitting these shots, we've seen some nice slash and kick moments from him, right? He's not going toward the rim with the intent to punch on somebody, and he is not getting to the rim with downhill speed, but he's getting to a spot. He's surveying the floor, and he had some nice drop offs, and he's part of that. Look, Tyrese is a much bigger part of this. He's the leader of all this, but they're doing more of the get to the paint, recycle the basketball, move the ball around the floor, and create good offense, right? And so if he can do that and he can hit some threes, he has a role on this team. He just is a competent professional right now, which that's all they really need. And when he can add and sprinkle in transition defense and get steals and slap it off of Zach LaVine's leg and on a big play in the fourth quarter, like give me that guy any day. I'll, maybe not at the amount of minutes that he's playing right now. I don't know if I want Eric Gordon playing almost 29 minutes in an ideal world, but as long as he shoots and as long as he's engaged on defense, perfectly fine with what he's given right now.
Unfortunately, to prevent him from playing 29 minutes, you have to play more of Kyle Lowry or Jeff Doughton. Or
at least Reggie gave him good minutes tonight, or good scoring at the very least.
He started off strong too.
Yeah. Yep. Reggie Jackson with 12 points, 2 threes in this game. For the 76ers. So, Bree, let's if you have it ready. I don't know if you have it ready. Let's get to the strong and wrong of the night.
Oh boy.
We referenced it a little bit earlier. And the guy or gal, you got tossed. You were strong with your words, but you said the wrong words. So the strong and wrong moment of the night went to the fan that Tyrese was yapping back and forth.
Is Bub coming in, or is it Rico?
It was Rico. Kyle Lowry came in there, and then you saw one of the other assistant coaches come in, and the fan was escorted out of the building afterwards. So it's always interesting where, you can give it to the player, however you want to say certain things, but there's always a crossing a line that even as you're saying it, you paid good money to visit this game, and you were close, so you paid a decent amount of money, even if it was someone who gave you those tickets. That's a pretty darn good seat. And an earshot for Tyrese to hear it, and you wanted him to hear it. Strong and wrong, fan, tonight. And you are the award winner.
While we're on the subject of you pay a lot of money for those seats, I'm not going to say the reporter that it was, because I don't know that he would want this conversation to be.
Sure.
I was having a conversation with a reporter who I really respect last night at the game.
Thank you, Bree.
And
so, it's not me then.
There are plenty of reporters I respect. There was a reporter I'm having a conversation with. You're one of them, just to be clear. So we're talking about the Bulls specifically as the follow-up to this back-to-back. And this reporter says to me, he goes, Bulls fans got to stop showing up. They're never going to do anything different. That team sells out all their games. Their attendance is super high. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Not only are they not good, they're not bad either. They're just irrelevant. Nobody cares about the Bulls. And I was like, I think about it all the time. When I was a kid, not just in basketball, but the Chicago Bulls represented excellence in sports, period. Yeah. Like Derek was talking to me, and we had this conversation last night. Derek was like, I used to use the Alan Parsons Project Sirius, the Chicago Bulls intro music as podcast intro music. That's just like, it creates, you go into your mind and you're like, man, I get chills thinking about them announcing Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan and all that. And now they just don't matter at all.
And they haven't mattered for a long time.
For decades. Well, not decades, plural, because Derrick Rose briefly brought them back to prominence.
And when we have our fun with the game time and we do the Cliff Livingston game time, that's because that was the fun Bulls in the 90s at that time. And it sucks. The biggest crowd that I remember just paying attention to their games a little bit is when Derrick Rose they announced it was Derrick Rose night. They were going to hang his number in the rafters. They were playing the Knicks that night. Everybody was wearing the shirts with his numbers on. Even the opposing team had his shooting shirts with the numbers on them. It was one of the biggest crowds that they had this year for a guy who was retiring and having his number hung up in the rafters. That was it. And they do that. All organizations do that. But that's to your point. They're so irrelevant that the biggest night was his night, not their night.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around it because everyone processes the world through the lens of like, when I was a kid, it was this, and this. So to watch the Bulls go from this is the team, right? It wasn't the Lakers. It wasn't the Celtics. It wasn't anybody but the Chicago Bulls. And now they're just, well, I would say this. Golden State Warriors, be very careful with not going all in while Steph is still there, because you ain't the Lakers or the Celtics. Once that dude is gone, goodbye.
Hello, Chicago Bull fan base.
A real quick honorable mention on the strong and wrong, though. That ref who didn't get that foul on Gordon, are you kidding? LaVine was trying to foul him.
He might as well have smacked him over the head. It was ridiculous.
That was a football play. Absolutely.
He was trying to take a foul.
I don't think he got any ball. I think he got all arm. It was wild.
Yeah, strong and wrong to the fan and the ref. And the strong and wrong tonight brought to you by no one.
By the way, good job, Nick Nurse, who was immediately like, screw that. I don't need a replay. I'm challenging that one.
He wanted to update the number in the Google files, man.
Yeah.
He wanted to update that one. Good challenge there by Nick Nurse. All right, let's get to the super chats here. Talking to Sean Wofford. Is it Wolford or
Wolford?
Wolford. Okay. If there's only one reason the Sixers didn't go into full tank mode this year, it's the Bulls. They stink.
Yeah,
they should be tanking, as Kyle just pointed out with the conversation on Press Row.
The hive mind. We're on the same page, buddy.
Well, and it's really like the next team has 5 fewer losses than the Bulls. So like there's a big gap after that 10 spot. He's absolutely right. Like the reason that there's any real life left in the season is because the Bulls stink and they've been directionless for a long, long time.
Because Miami is next, isn't it? I think it's Miami, and they have like a 4 or 5
see what
game
Jimmy
lead.
Butler's next trick.
Hey, remember we were having the conversation of who can
him or James Harden.
Jim and Jay. This is some really good stuff that he's got going on, man.
When I'll know he's serious when Jimmy puts on a fat suit. He ain't doing that though.
No.
All right. They're both artists in their own way.
Yes, they are.
Getting the hell out of a situation they don't want to be in.
All right, Bree. This is the moment, because this is pretty much it for us, and it relates to Skunk Riley in the super chat. What score do you predict for the Eagles and the Commanders game tomorrow?
There's only ever one prediction. Birds by a million.
Yes. Yes. I mean, hey, I do feel like they're going to win. And
I would love that. I feel like they're going to win, but boy, do I think it's going to be closer than I want it to be.
Like my prediction of 26-20.
Yeah, I was thinking 27-23 was actually.
Yeah, 26-20. That guy scares the hell out of me on the other side.
Birds by a million.
But the birds by a million, as Kyle said.
So when I was at the game last week, I texted a group chat of mine. I was like, just ran into Bradley Cooper. He said Sean McVay is scared and birds by a million. So that's every week. It doesn't matter who they're playing. I told you guys, I'm irrational about the Eagles. I'm like everybody else in this chat. I want to see them win. I want to see them win by a lot. Saquon's running for 150 plus tomorrow.
Hey, Jahmyr Gibbs went off last week. It wasn't his fault that they didn't win.
Take care of the ball. Give it to Saquon. Win the game.
Defense is amazing. And remember, folks, they lost that second game because, one, Jalen Hurts was left the game because of concussion. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson thrown out of the game for talking. And then you also had Devontae Smith with an uncharacteristic drop that would have secured the first down and allowed the Eagles to just kneel down.
An A.J. Brown redemption game.
Marshawn Lattimore is on the other side. Those two, they battle.
Yeah. A.J. Brown redemption hour.
I agree with, even with the bad knee that he has. A.J. Brown, not Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. I agree with you. I think that they do their thing. Now, 26-20, I do think the score, they can score that 20 to make it close at the end. I think the Birds win, though, and we're talking about, hey, do the Birds show need some help with us? Because Super Bowl, baby, we're all in.
Let's go.
We're all in, and let's see what happens there. But should be fun. And Bootzilla says Josh Harris is probably going to be there. No, he's definitely going to be there.
He will be there.
He has to be there.
Because if this doesn't go the right way, you are watching Josh Harris hold up some trophy.
The first trophy in his.
We had a nice long chat on I did a bonus episode with the Eagles guys talking about the Josh Harris angle. If anybody missed it, feel free to check it out on YouTube. ZB was the pro owner guy, and Bo and I
Go Birds.
We're decidedly not.
Go
We're the
Birds.
Go Birds guys.
Make sure you sign up to become a diehard member right now, taking advantage of the $48 special that we got going on because the playoff
even call it a
season-
Philly special.
Yes. Just don't use that play tomorrow. Just
Nice and simple.
nice and simple. If you want to do that indoors in New Orleans in a couple of weeks, go for it, but not tomorrow. Make sure you sign up, though, diehard program to read all PHLY.com. Derek's story from yesterday. Kyle, of course, with his recaps and other stories and all of the Birds coverage as the Birds are looking to, again, advance to the Super Bowl. Got you all covered. As a diehard member, allphly.com. Take advantage once again. $48. That's $4 a month with the best coverage in Philly sports here in town at all PHLY. Overall, all PHLY in general. Just the team has been killing it, and this is the limited time intro offer at $48.
You can even chat with Devon in Discord.
I was in there the other day. You just didn't see me.
Wow.
Yeah. There's that.
If Devon's in Discord and doesn't say
If
anything,
a tree
is he
falls
actually
in the
Discord?
forest
Yeah.
and there's no one there to hear it.
I was about to say something that would got us all in trouble about trees. I'll tell you after the show. All right.
I don't even want to know. I don't think.
I do. Let's talk.
You know what it is. All right. Let's get to the world famous roll call on a Saturday night, two-game winning streak.
A 2-0 Sixers weekend roll call.
With 6 home games.
Let's get an undefeated
on the
Philadelphia
way.
Sports weekend.
Oh,
roll call.
yes. The Eagles did their part. The Flyers did not last night.
Oh, well, then they already blew it. So the Flyers' loss was in sacrifice for the Eagles' win tomorrow. We thank you for your service.
But 2 in a row would be Sixers and Eagles. Flyers are off tomorrow.
Let's
There
see.
you go.
Let's see. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here with us tonight and every night and day that you are here. Thank you to my girl Winona, to Jeannie,
Hey, Nona.
to
Hey, Jeannie.
Jess, to Bootzilla,
Jess.
to
Hey,
Remo
Boots.
K,
Boots.
Jay of the Jungle, who I always
What
forget
up,
about,
Jay?
but never forget about anymore. Thank you to Doug Craig. Thank you to Michael B. Thank you to Brian Knight, to Kyle O.
What up, Kyle?
Is this, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, is that Babur? Babur Maverick?
Yes.
Great name. Strong name.
Love it.
Love that.
What up?
Did I say Michael B? I'm
Babur.
saying Michael B again. If not, AA Ron hanging out with us. Money Mar,
What up,
public
Aaron?
enemy number 1 is always here.
Mar.
You know who's not an enemy?
Sorry, Mar. My bad.
Mom's grandchildren.
Hello.
Hello to Mom, hanging out with us. Thank you also to X-Man,
What up, X?
to DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman.
Bring me a dream
Hanging out in the
that the
chat.
Eagles win tomorrow and advance to the Super Bowl.
We got Larry K in the house. Prophet 1.
What up, Prophet?
Did I say Kyle right? I'm going to say it
Prophet,
again.
let us know. Are they winning tomorrow?
Josephine hanging out with us.
Josephine.
We got Sir Schmooey in the building. I know Maury's yams were in here earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll upgrade to just yams without Maury if they go on
He's
a little
upset
win
that they're
streak
winning
here.
games. He's upset.
Thank you to the Hard Rock Cafe for being
Yes.
part of the show.
Thanks for
tonight.
sponsoring us.
Thank you to I Gavini hanging out with us.
what up,
again
I Gavini?
tonight. Bree, who are our super chatters in here tonight? Skunk Riley and
Skunk.
Sean Wolford. Thank you both for your contributions to the show and the company. They are always appreciated. Thank you to everybody who is in here tonight, hanging out with us. Spend some time with your loved ones and the Birds tomorrow. Let's get an Eagles victory on Sunday. Let's also have all of you on the way out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live.
E-L-E-S.
And if you hit the thumbs up button, perhaps our mayor and
wild.
Devon
Okay.
will remember how to spell the word Eagles.
Yes.
I was actually going to do that earlier in the show, but I didn't know how many people would get the
And
reference.
if you hit the
They
thumbs
have
up
hats.
button, it'll also serve as a big thank you to our super producer, Bree, who's with us each and every show. Thank you to Bree. Thank you to all of you for being here. We will be back on Monday for an off-day show, and then it's games the rest of the week.
Yes.
And then the trade deadline will be here soon enough, everybody.
Go
Until
Birds,
then, go
go
Birds.
Birds,
Birds
go
by a
Birds.
million. Let's do it.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.